Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to the last day of the Valentine's Day card series for 2022. So I had watched Tim Holtz live and I was so inspired to pull back out my alcohol inks. So I pulled out a variety of pinks, magenta, and red. And this is Enchanted, Intrigue, and Deception. And I also pulled out my alloyed Gilded. Now, I have not played with my alcohol inks in some time, so I thought I would use it today. I am also using some Yupo paper. I do love this paper because I love how thick this paper is. So I thought I would make two panels today. I'm going to make one large one and one smaller one. So with the smaller panel, I am going to use the alcohol ink paper from Tim Holtz. So I thought using both of these, I can create two cards and knock two gorgeous panels out at once. Now in hindsight, I think I would have did this a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to start out with using my alcohol blending solution rather, on both of these panels. Now, like I said, in hindsight, I probably would have started with one panel and then moved to the other, but I was just so excited to start playing again. So as you're going to see, I'm going to start dropping in this ink onto both of the panels. Now, my biggest mistake is dropping on this ink. One of these panels is going to start drying before I can actually get to it. But just remember, when you're playing, have fun. Don't overthink the process. So I'm going to come in with my little blowy tool. I'm not sure what the name of this is, but I'll link it below. I wasn't sure. I'm going to add a little bit more blending solution to the one on the left and the right. Now, I really like the way the one on the right is, so I stopped playing with that one. And I want this one on the left to have a little bit more color and a little bit more depth. So I'm going to kind of use my little puffer tool. I'm going to start adding in some more color. And then I'm just going to kind of work this around. Now, again, this is a larger piece of paper, so I can kind of add more to this than I could in that smaller piece of paper. I added some of the blending solution because I really wanted this to move a little bit more. So when you get to this stage and you're looking at it and you're thinking, oh, holy, this is not what I want this to look like, you can walk away, or you can be like me and be adventurous and just keep playing. I was not going to allow this alcohol ink to intimidate me today. So I'm going to keep working this. Now I'm starting to get that flow and that color blend that I like. And now I'm starting to feel very happy about this. So I stopped with that, the brighter colors, and now I'm adding in that alloy color. I am going to bring in some more blending solution because I want this to blend a little bit more, and I'm going to add a little bit more gold. Now, once I start tilting this and adding that last bit of that blending solution, this is where I'm at my happy state, because this is what I wanted it to look like. I really wanted it to blend on this paper. Now, since I know I want to stop here, I'm going to grab my heat tool and dry this back. So that's going to stop everything else from spreading, and I'm going to lock in that design. So as you can see, I have two different panels here. One is very sparse with a lot of white space, and you'll be able to see that pearlized in this. It's so beautiful. And now you're going to be able to see how I have the gold in this, and I've kind of locked in a smooth blend of a lot of colors. Now this is a bigger panel, which I'll have more room to design on. Now I wanted to use the stylized heart from Simon Says Stamp. I love, love, love this heart. It is such a great little broken glass kind of pattern on there, and I thought that would work perfect today. So when you die cut this out of the paper, you're going to get a heart, and then you're going to get the design. So now on a larger piece of paper, I can see exactly what area I want besides my heart. That was the deal of making that bigger panel. Now I could do it on the smaller panel, but I felt I wanted to have that larger panel. So I trimmed down the piece that I wanted behind my heart using my Hero Arts Infinity rectangle dies. And now I know I can lock in on that design. Now with the Yupo paper, I kind of didn't know what to glue this down with. So I decided to go with my score tape for this. And I probably could have used a wet medium. I wasn't sure, so I didn't want to risk it at this moment. And I went ahead and used, and this is like double-sided tape. So I put some of that all the way around the heart. And now I know when I place it onto that Yupo paper, I know it's not going to go anywhere. Now, again, I probably could have used glue, wasn't sure, so I'd rather just be safe than sorry. So now I can bring in that panel, and now I can decide exactly where I want this heart to be, where I want to capture most of the gold in the color. So once I have it exactly where I want it, I can go ahead and press this down, and I have this gorgeous heart. And I have scraps that I can use on another panel a little bit later. So I'm done with this, and I want to go ahead and add my sentiment. I love this stamp set called Love Is All You Need from Gina K, and I love the I Adore You in here. One, I love the different kinds of fonts in this stamp set, and I also love the little sentiments that you have, and also you have some additional hearts. I just decided to use the Adore because I don't know, there's something about this script that I really gravitated to. And I want this to be a really clean and simple card. So I really just want my heart and a really bold sentiment. So once I have that lined up, I can go ahead and stamp this down. I'm just trying to debate if I want to add any other elements from this stamp set, and I decided not to. I just decided to just use the sentiment itself. So now I have that in my MISTI. I can go ahead and close down my MISTI lid and go ahead and stamp this. Now, if you wanted to, you could totally add more to the front of this card, but I really wanted a nice, clean, and simple card with this one. I really want that center heart to kind of be the focal point, but you know me, I'm going to have to add a little bit of something else later. Now, I do like my Clair, Clair ink. This is the Nocturne. This is a very deep black ink. And usually when I'm doing bolder sentiments like this, I really like to use that ink. So I can go ahead and press that down, make sure I have a good sentiment, and look how pretty. I love this. Now this would be pretty just like this on its own, but remember we had the inner piece of that die cut, the one that kind of looks like the stained glass. Now I did trim this panel down so I can have a little bit of a pop of color behind it. And I'm using my Barely Arts glue because it has that really fine nozzle on the top in order to place this down. Now look how gorgeous this looks. It literally looks like, in my opinion, like shattered glass. I love the simplicity of this card. So I'll go ahead and press that down. And again, because I'm on that Yupo paper, I really want to make sure that this heart kind of like sticks. So I am going to bring in my little stamping tool and kind of really firmly press that heart into place. So now we have this gorgeous, clean and simple Valentine's Day card. But I do want to add a little bit of color behind this. So I cut down a piece of Gina K cardstock. I don't remember the name offhand, but I'll have it linked below because I thought I could pull in a lot of that pink just down to my card base. I kind of wanted to keep this color palette kind of flowing. So I am just going to grab a little bit of liquid adhesive here. And this is my Hero Arts Precision Glue. And I can go ahead and press this down. Again, I just wanted to have a little bit of a border around this clean and simple panel just to kind of keep the continuation of that color. And I'm really glad I did, because if I put this just onto a white card base, I feel like it would have totally gotten lost. So this is trimmed down that I have just a tiny bit of a border. It's like 1/4 of an inch of a border all the way around, so I have like a nice mat. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this down onto a white card base. Now this pink panel is the same size as the card base. So you're not actually going to see any more of that white. It'll just peek out a little bit on the side because I believe when I cut down my cardstock, I might have been like an 1/8 of or 1/16 of an inch off, but that's okay. I think my husband is going to like this card because this is going to be his Valentine's Day card this year. So I can go ahead and press that into place. Now, I really love the simplicity of this, but I felt the need to bring a little bit more gold into this. So I felt the need to just bring in a few of my Trinity, and these are matte gold pearls, and this would just keep a little bit of that gold color. I didn't want it to be like overly bright gold pearls, so that's why I chose the matte ones instead. And I'm just doing a small arrangement of this because, again, I really want this card to be nice, clean, and simple. All right, once we have this card complete, we can go ahead and start working on that other card. Again, this is a very simplistic, easy, clean, and simple card. And I think in this case, if you made a lot of these backgrounds, you could totally go ahead and create multiple cards. So now let's work on this smaller panel. Now for this smaller panel, I did want to trim it down just a tad bit. I didn't want too much of that white space. So I grabbed my Hero Arts Infinity Rectangle dies again. And I'm just going to use some easy tape to tape this down and run this through my die cut machine. Now there's still going to be a lot of white space on this, but I just felt like I didn't want all of the white space. So I am going to use another piece of that paper because I want my color palette to be kind of seamless between both cards. I did trim this down so it's not a full panel. I just want to trim this down that I had a nice pop of color on my white card base, but I did want to make sure to see that color more than you did on the other card. So I'll press that down into place. And now when I bring this over, you still see that pop of color behind, but it doesn't take up everything. And I think it really starts to draw your eye directly into that panel. Now for this panel, I did want to pop it up. So I decided to grab my 3M foam tape. And this is going to give me a little bit of dimension in this card. Not too much, but a little bit so I didn't have everything so flat like I did on the other card. Now this again is still a clean and simple Valentine's Day card. This just is going to be a little bit of a difference compared to the other one. Again, I'm not going to add much to these cards. I want them to be really clean and simple cards. Now before I add this on to the pink panel, I do need to make sure to stamp out my sentiment. If I place this down, it's going to be too high and I'm not going to get a good impression of my sentiment. So I decided to set that aside for now and then go ahead and grab my mini Misty and look to see what sentiments I wanted to use. I did want to continue to use that stamp set from Gina K, but once I brought in my card panel, I realized that some of the sentiments, especially the one that says I love you at the very top, I wanted to use that one. But at this point, I realized it's going to be a little bit too big for this card. So I went back to a stamp set that I used on the very first day of the card series. This is the Ink Blot Shop Sentiment Label Blocks. This is a perfect stamp set when you need a smaller sentiment. And I think I'm going to use the Love You Forever because that's going to fit really nice and neat under the panel. And guess what? It's not going to really compete with this larger panel. Now, if I wanted to, I could have stamped the sentiment on top of the Yupo paper, but I decided I didn't want anything to mess with that gorgeous alcohol ink blend down we got. So I can go ahead and press this down. Now for this, I did want to bring in some gold on this. Now mind you, there might not be any gold per se on the panel itself, but I wanted to continue the gold through the color theme for today. So for this sentiment, I am going to heat emboss it. So the first thing I'm going to do is treat my paper, and that's my anti-static tool. And then I'm going to use my VersaMark. VersaMark is just a clear ink, and it allows you to add embossing powder to whatever you're stamping. So I'm just going to lightly press that down because I don't want my sentiments to kind of like bloom out. And I got a really great first impression on that. And now I can bring in that embossing powder. Now, if you guys have enjoyed the card series, please let me know in the comments below. I had such a great time working on this card series. Even though there were some hiccups along the way, I was not feeling good. But I'm so glad I was able to finish up this series for you again this year. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're an avid follower, welcome back. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you here on my channel. So I went ahead and I heat set back that gold. And look how pretty that gold looks on that pink. Again, all the supplies will be listed below. And I just made sure to kind of bend my card back just a little bit because it had bowed just a tad bit from the heat gun. Now I have everything the way I want it, and I can add back in that piece. Now again, this is going to be a very, very clean and simple Valentine's Day card, both of these. And sometimes when we're making Valentine's Day card, we might want to mass produce those. And sometimes if we pick a very difficult design, that can take a lot of time. So if you're new to stamping, this is a great way to kind of stretch your imagination, but just have pops of color on your card. So I can go ahead and line this up and place this down. Now, remember that stylized heart die from earlier? I die cut this again a few more times, but the top layer I die cut in gold. So as you can see, I'm pulling that gold into this panel, just like I pulled the gold from the beads, or the pearls rather, into the other one. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and place this down. And I really, to be honest, at this point, don't know which one of these cards are my favorite. I'm so glad I played with my alcohol inks. Thank you, Tim Holtz. You really got me inspired to create this last set of cards for the series. All right, everybody, that is the 2 cards for today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. And if you liked what you saw, leave a comment below. I will see you guys in another video soon. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye-bye.